guys. First off, appreciate everybody jumping on, taking your time with us. And for you that don't know, all these Zoom meetings are recorded. So if you want to take notes, great. But if you have an opportunity to go back and watch it on our YouTube channel, I'll get the links to you guys through the emails. But if you go to YouTube and just put SOBOA training, there's probably over 100 videos on there. Some 2-person, some 3-person training, some crew chief training, some plays and all types. A lot of information on there, along with our Facebook group, which I think a lot of you are on there. But if you're on Facebook, we have a private group with close to 250 members. And that's, again, SOBOA training. That's kind of our theme. On type it in and you'll find it. So there's a lot of information on there as well. But just quickly wanted to go over just some introduction stuff, some welcome to you guys and some expectations. And then obviously we'll dive into what we need to do. So first thing, as far as the staff, a lot of you on here know who I am, Mark Beer, and then Kenny Belafonte and Jesse. We're all in our nice maroon long sleeve shirts. We like to be color coordinated every time. Kenny gets on us if we don't. And our shirts would be tucked in if you couldn't see us. So he's big on that. Him and Jesse, military guys. So, and then we do have Soupy, Manuel Speder. Can't say his last name, but he goes by Soupy. He's out of town, but he'll be on the rest. And then Rafael Belafonte, that's Kenny's son, will be on. So the 5 of us have been doing the advanced training for, I think this is our 4th or 5th year. And we always try to improve every year. We met last week, went over some things. And of course, it's an interesting time, right? We'd love to be on the floor with you guys and be able to get out there and teach and let you guys get up and down. Typically what we do is we'd have our league going on over the Factory Champions, where the first week we'd be in the classroom. And after that, you guys jump on the floor and we do 2-person and 3-person, and you're able to get up and down. And unfortunately, we can't do that. But the good thing is that is not going to stop us. We're going to continue to teach and educate, and all of us get better. We've done probably close to 100 Zoom meetings the last 5 months. So what has really taught a lot of us is we think we're good on our rules, but we're really not. We may be good on the floor, but we're not great on our rule books and our mechanics and all that, those type of things. So that's what we've done the last 4 or 5 months, really dove into and dissected the rule book. And it's really, really helped a lot of us grow. And we can't wait to get back on the floor. So with that being said, that's the staff. Obviously, the dates that we meet every Sunday from 6 to 8. We're going to go for 6 weeks. And I'll go over kind of the outline. Expectations for you guys is real simple with us. Whatever you put in is what you're going to get out. So there's nothing. I'm not taking roll. I'm not going to tell the assignment team who made it, who didn't make it. It's totally up to you. I can tell you that Marvin will be jumping on from time to time, and so will Henry. And if they see your face on here, your name, that can only help you with the upcoming season. We're going to have a season, and I don't expect us to have 432 referees sign up like we usually do. It'd probably be lower due to COVID. So there's going to be some opportunities for you guys on here to hopefully get some opportunities you haven't had in the past. If that's going to be some higher 2-person games, and some of you may be able to get some 3-person, right? So the opportunity is there for you, and you started by signing up and being on that. So I appreciate you doing that. But again, the expectations is just if you show up, great. Also, we'd love for you to participate, but you don't have to. I'm not going to call on you guys. I'm not going to do that. I've done that before in other Zoom meetings. But I don't want to do that with you guys. I definitely don't want to hear from the same referee every single time, but the group is pretty small. We're under 20. We may get up closer to 30, but we would love for you to engage. We found out the more engagement we have, the way more productive the meetings are. So there's a couple ways you can do that. There's a chat room that you can type questions in there or anything you want. You can raise your hand and that pops up. Or you can just unmute yourself and you can talk if you want to add anything or you have any questions for us. So definitely we want you guys to participate. I'll go over the 6 weeks on the next slide, but I'm hoping that you guys did download Kahoot. It'll be a trial and error. I've used it a lot, but we'll see how it goes. And again, each week will be smoother for us. But what we're going to do is we're going to do a pre-quiz at the beginning of the Zoom meeting, and then we're going to close on a post one. And the way that's going to work is the first one I have today is just some kind of random questions for you to just kind of see where you're at. And then we're going to go over primary coverage area and game procedures today. And then we will quiz you on that subject. Say next week, we're going over positioning and movement. Well, then next week we'll have a pre-quiz on primary coverage, which we touched on week 1. Then we'll go over our presentation for week 2, and then you'll have at the end of the Zoom, then you'll go over that quiz. Weekly Google form quizzes. So during the week, you'll get a link, and it'll be a Google form, and you don't put your name on it, and it's 5 questions, and I will come up with some questions for you, and those are for you to take your time and dive in your rule book, your manual, and your casebook. Some of them are pretty straightforward. Some of them will be a little harder. Now, there's 2 ways you can do that. You can take as many times as you want. It will give you the incorrect and correct answers, and it'll give you underneath a reference to go to. So just say we had a traveling question and you got it wrong. It'll tell you at the bottom which reference to go to. That's what I'd like for you to do. Any question you get wrong, you want to dive into that reference, go to the rule book or whatever it may be, and then you can check it out and see what you got wrong. And then the you make the call clips, the YMTC, we're going to end on those every Zoom meeting. So we'll throw up some clips for you guys, 3 or 4. I've got 4 today. And then in the chat room, you're just going to put what you have. I'm not going to show it 10 times, maybe once. It may glitch a little bit, so I may show it twice. And then you got to make the call, just like you would in a regular game. You don't get a couple of cracks at it. You get one time to look at it, and you got to make the decision on it. As far as the outline, so like I said, today is going to be game procedures and primary coverage. I'm going to take this one. Then next week, we got positioning and movement. Again, this will get emailed to you, so you don't have to worry about it. Soupy will take that one. And week 3, we got communication, atypical plays, and bench decorum. Jesse's got that. Fouls and violations will be Raphael. And then the last 2 weeks, intros to 3 persons. Kenny will take the first one. I'll take the second one. And really, the last 2 weeks will be all of the staff, just adding things to that. Now, we did put 1 week, we're going to try to go up to the factory, just the staff. I'm going to try to do some kind of video for you guys where you can actually really see it on the floor. And we're going to try to do that. And we're not sure if that's going to happen, but if it does, we'll let you know, and we'll try to add that somewhere within weeks 3 through 6, maybe. Okay. All right. Here's the first little icebreaker for you guys. Even as I added this today, I had a buddy of mine call me yesterday, and he put me on the spot, and he said, "Mark, don't grab your rule book. I want you to tell me the 8 violations on a jump ball." And of course, I'm stuttering. What was the question? Trying to buy myself some time. I heard the question right away, but I said, and I struggled. I didn't get all 8. I came close, but I didn't get all 8. So I don't want you to jump in your rule book. Hopefully you have it close, but we're going to go through 8 different articles and different violations we can have on a jump ball. We take the jump ball for granted. We just think, line up the kids, throw it up, we're good, and go on. But we're not real good on our rules on jump ball. All right. So there's a couple ways you can do this. I just want to start a list, and we can go through this. You can unmute yourself and throw something out to us, or you can type it in the chat. But just think of it. We're talking about jumpers and non-jumpers. We want to go through each violation we can come up with as a group and see how we do. Okay. So if anybody wants to take it, I'll just type them in. So the first one, again, you can go in the chat or you can unmute yourself, and we'll press through this pretty fast.
How about tipping the ball on the way up?
Okay, so you want to say stealing the tip?
Yeah.
All right, we'll just type that. That doesn't say in the rule book, but I'm just going to type that in. Okay. Just so we go through it. Okay, there's one. So
one of the jumpers catching the ball. Okay,
Babby. So one of jumpers catching, and then when you're done, just mute yourself when you've done it. Okay, just so you're not.
How about non-contact with the ball?
So you talking about a foul?
No, like nobody touches the ball. It comes back
got
down.
you. All right, hits the floor. Okay, no, got it. Good one. Okay. Okay.
I was saying intentional foul.
Okay, we're not. That is, but we're just gonna go violations. So that's fine. I did the same thing. I started getting into fouls. He goes, "Hey man, I didn't ask you about no fouls. No about violations." So just, but it would be if you have a foul. Obviously, we got to get that. But let's just go violations. What else we got? So we're halfway.
What about contact between the 2 participants?
Yeah, that would be a foul. That's good, but we're just going violations. Let me check the chat.
All right.
Okay. Jumper crosses the center line. Okay. So jumper crosses line to do that.
What about 2 same players side by side?
Okay, you talk about jumpers or non-jumpers?
Non-jumpers.
Okay, so we're talking about how they're not side by side, one in front, one in back?
Or next to each other. Shouldn't there be a defensive player in between?
Okay, we'll get into that. And then how many feet are we talking? Are we around the circle? We want to get into that? I'm just going to say 3 feet. Does anybody have anything on that? So Justin said movement. Okay. Elaborate. If you can unmute you.
Movement by like non-jumpers at the time of the tip.
Okay, so a non-jumper moving prior to it's been tossed or tipped?
Prior to being tossed.
Okay, all right. What else? 2 more. Good job. We're almost there.
I was going to say non-jumpers crossing the center line or going into the center circle before the tip.
Okay, so non-jumpers entering the circle, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right. 1 more. And there is more than 8, but
jumpers leaving the circle.
There we go. Okay. Before what?
Before the ball's tipped, before it's tossed.
Okay, before tossed or tipped. Which one? Both, maybe?
Well, I would say either way.
Okay. All right, good. All right, so let me throw this up here. So really good job. Just a little thing to get started on it. So if we go to our rule book, okay. All right, there we go. So I'll go through this really fast though, right? So for this is again, you go to your rule book, go to jump ball, you'll be able to find it. For any jump ball, each jumper shall have both feet within half of the center circle, which is farther from the basket. Right? They got to be inside. I think someone touched on that. Can't have 1 foot in, 1 foot out. You've got to be on your side. When the official is ready and until the ball is tossed, non-jumper shall not move onto the center circle, which somebody had said, or change position around it. So we can't have any movement from non-jumpers, okay? Teammates may not occupy adjacent positions around the center circle. So that's what you touched on, Mario. Indicates a desire for one of these positions before the official is ready to toss the ball. So you got to get them side by side, right? The ball shall be tossed upward between the jumpers in a plane, blah, 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 whatever. The toss shall be at a height greater than either of them so it won't drop between them. So they can't steal the tip, as someone had talked about. Until the toss ball is touched by one or both, non-jumpers shall not have either foot break the plane of the center circle, take a position in an occupied space, which is what you guys touched on. The toss ball shall be touched by one or both of the jumpers after it reaches the highest point. If the ball contacts the floor without being touched, then you obviously have to do it again. We went to that, okay? Let's get into this one. So neither jumper shall touch the ball before it reaches the highest point, which would be stolen. Leave the center circle until the ball has been touched. Catch the ball before the jump ball ends, which would be either that it touches another player or hits the floor, and then D, touch the ball more than twice. So it can be tap, tap, or tap by the other person. They can tap it again. They just can't touch it 3 times. And then the jump ball restrictions in 937, and when the touch ball contacts one of the 8 non-jumpers, an official, the floor, basket, or back, but that's when it would end, okay? Did a pretty good job on it. I just wanted to get that out there just to see, because again, we've got to be ready to referee from the jump. And that's been a theme that we've just discussed quite a bit over the Zoom meetings. So I just wanted to dive into that. Any questions on that? Okay, good. All right. So now it's time to play Kahoot. So hopefully I'll give a few minutes for you guys to get onto your cell phone, get your little Kahoot app out. You should already have an account signed up. It's free. And at the bottom, it should say where you would put in a pin, enter a pin. That's the screen that hopefully that you should have. So I'll give you guys a few minutes to do that. Once it's there, hopefully you can see my screen. this will be the code that you need to type in. Now, I don't care if you put your name in, you don't have to, okay? I'm gonna turn off this music. So you gotta type that code in and you'll pop in. You can put a nickname, you can put your name. We're not taking scores or anything like that, but if you want to, that's fine. Now, I do want to tell you, it's going to give you a score based on if you get it correct and how fast you do it. But I don't want you to rush crazy through it. You do get 60 seconds to answer each question. Now, once everybody's answered it, I'll see how many players we have. I'll just go into the next one. I won't wait. Now, you got to look at both because the question will be on your screen right here. So on the Zoom call, it will have the question at the top. It's going to do the question. It's going to give you the answers, color coordinated, and then it'll also have the question at the top. You have to enter it on your cell phone. So your cell phone is just going to have like little squares. It'll be blue, red, yellow, and green, I think, is the colors. And then that's how you press it. Hopefully some of y'all have played it before. Doesn't look like any staff members want to hop on. That's okay.
I'm on.
All right, so you're on, Kenny. All right, there you go. All right. Oh, wait, we got 13 on. We have 21 of you on here. And that's okay. If you haven't downloaded it, it's fine, but we'd like you to maybe hopefully download it before the end of today, or you can jump on next time. Okay. So I'll wait a little bit longer, maybe a minute or less, and then we'll get going. I've done so many of these and I get so nervous. It brings me back to school. I get nervous and then the music drives me crazy too. So I did turn it off for you guys. And then you know, but dude, take your time on it. It's not super hard, the first one. Alex, you good? Yep.
Yeah, well, I was downloading it. Is it a maroon app? Is it maroon on it?
Say it again.
Is it a maroon, the app?
Yeah, no, it's a purple. It should be purple.
I mean, a purple. I'm sorry, purple.
Yes.
Purple. Okay,
purple with a big K. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
So as a student, right? Or
yes, student. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, student. And then just do a free account, and then once everything's done, it should have a little bottom right at the bottom of your screen. It should say enter a pin. Are you almost there? Because we'll wait on you, Alex, if you're gonna get it done.
Yeah. I'm entering the pin now. Game pin.
Okay, cool.
Something like that.
All right. All right. So we'll have 16 players, and then when everyone's answered, we'll get on to the next question. All right. All right. Here we go. Everybody, can everyone see the screen? Okay. No one's telling me they can't.
Yes.
Okay. Let me see if I can make it a little bigger. Okay. Is that a little better? Maybe even bigger. All right. Good luck to you all. All right. 17 players. All right. Ready? Here we go. This one's true or false? Hey, Kenny, if you don't win, you should probably, what are you going to do? Give somebody a jacket or a shirt? I know you got all kinds of stuff you can give to someone.
We got a bunch of shoes.
I think maybe the winner should get something for the first one. What do you think?
That's a good idea.
Yeah, we'll do that. Okay, winner will get something. All right.
How about a Fox 40 whistle?
Okay.
I have one.
I got some come on ref ones. All right. Well, the answer is false. We'll go over these later. So right now, 11 of you got it wrong, 6 got it right. But you got time to redeem yourself in the next one. Here we go. Kenny's first. Somebody, come on, Eli. James, catch him. All right. Question 2. Multiple choice. Nine answered. And don't rush. Take your time. You got 40 seconds. 16, 17. Okay. 18. There we go. All right. Correct answer was team gains control. Very good. All right. 13 of you got it right. Good job. Okay. There you go, Eli. All right. Question 3. True or false? You're right, Michael. It's too late. We started, but we'll get you on the end one. One more. All right. 14-4. Answer was false. Four of you got it wrong. 14 right. Next one. Oh, Kenny's back on top. All right. True or false? Okay, 16-2, good. Hoping we got 18, that's okay. James need to catch him on this last one, all right? Last question. Okay, all the above, all right. So let's see who our winner is. Kenny got third, James got second. Who is our number one? Dwayne, all right, good job, Dwayne. All right, so Dwayne, I'll get with you or you get with me. Good job, Josh and MT, 4th and 5th. So Dwayne, get with me and we'll figure out how to get you that, okay? All right, so let's see if we can get into, let me see if I can click on this and go. I think I can. I want to try to pull up the questions. We'll go over them real fast and we'll dive into the main thing. All right, so the first one. Why did it do that? Apologies, hold on. So question 1, on a backcourt violation, the ball is taken out of bounds at the division line, true or false? That would be false, okay? So we could have a backcourt violation, the ball rolls all the way into the backcourt and it could roll all the way back into the paint. And you've seen kids do that and they just, and then they'll go, it's where the violation occurs. So for instance, that ball rolled all the way into the backcourt, right into the paint in the key area and they pick it up, that's when we have a backcourt violation. The violation happened in the paint, we would bring that ball on the end line. Same thing if it's on the sideline, wherever that violation occurs is where you're going to take the ball out. Okay, so you're not going to bring it back to the division line on that one. When does this 10-second count start in the backcourt? It's when they gain control. Now, sometimes we think that they've gained control and we'll start our count. That's why we got to be slow on our count. We don't just start too early. But if I did start my count and then I realized, oh, they don't have control, my count it's off. Then it wouldn't count. You have to wait until a team gains control in order for that to start your backcourt count going, obviously, the other direction. True or false? You can have a closely guarded violation in the backcourt. It's false because you can only have a 10-second backcourt violation. You can't have a closely 5-guard. And I've heard fans yell it. That's 5 seconds and all that. Only you can have that in the front court. Only have a closely guarded violation in the front court. Cannot have in the back court. That would be it's got to be a 10-second backcourt to get across. True or false? The throwing counts as silent and visible. That is true. We're not going to be 1, 2, 3. That's a clear advantage for both. More for the offense so that they know it's 4, right? But we're not going to be shouting out the numbers on that. Silent and obviously visible. And then when does team control end? That was going to be all the above. I don't have them up in front of me, but when the ball became dead on a tap or a try when it leaves and I couldn't remember the other one, but it was all of those. Okay, let me check the chat. All right, never mind that. Can you have a 3-second violation when the ball is backcourt? Good question. No, you cannot. So you cannot have a 3-second. You have to have a 3-second violation when the ball has front court status when it comes into the front court. Good question. Okay. Any other questions on this? Didn't do too bad. Okay. Again, this is times where we need to get in our rule books. All right. At the end of today, we're going to go into another Kahoot just like this, but it's going to be on everything that we're about to go over. Okay. Kenny, Jesse, you want to add anything to this?
Nope, I'm good. Let's keep pressing.
Good.
All right, good. Okay. All right, so let's get into the main topics today. Is we're going to go over game procedures and primary coverages. All right. So here's just something for us to think about. This is page 31. I would like for you at some point to go look in your manual on page 31. But again, you can unmute yourself or you can type it in the chat. Again, I'm a big believer in engaging you guys and not me talking the entire time. But arrival on site, when should you be at your game?
30 minutes.
Okay, so 30 minutes for Babby. Anybody got anything different?
30 minutes to now.
Yeah, I
Okay, 30
agree.
minutes. Okay, 30 minutes to hour is correct. So it says in the manual 60, but that's hard for those middle school games, those sub-varsity games that are right after. If you can get there an hour before, absolutely. But the minimum for us as a chapter is 30 minutes. Don't want you there anything later than that unless something obviously happens. The more time you give, the less stress you are, the more you can have pre-games and those type things. So again, 30 to 60 is ideal. Obviously closer to 60 would be great based on your schedule. Let's talk about a pre-game, okay? Should we have a pre-game every single time?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
How important, anybody can take it, how important is a pre-game to you as an official and as your crew?
Very. Very, just because it depends on the officials you're working with to see how each other work.
Absolutely. Okay. So we're going to dive into that in the next thing about a pregame, but you guys should be having a pregame every single game. Obviously, based on how long you have before your game, if your partner's a little late or you got there a little late would change, but man, it'd be nice to get there 60 minutes before a game. You can relax, stretch out, and have a really solid pregame. You can only imagine how your game goes. I like to always say it's just like players. I know a lot of you here played when you were younger. If you get to a game rushed and you walk in 3-4 minutes before the game, that game's probably not going to start real well for you. You may end up getting better once you get warmed up. Similar referees. You running in there stressed and trying to get changed and get there right at tip. You know, you're not probably going to be prepared to work that ball game. I think everybody can obviously relate to that. Okay, let's talk about arrival on the court. So you got there 36 minutes prior, you had your pregame. When should you be on the court?
15 minutes prior.
15 minutes prior. Anybody have anything different?
I think 10 to 15 minutes.
Okay. What does the manual say? The manual says 15 minutes. So if both of you are there, you need to be there. Now, the question would be, if your partner's not there, are you going to wait till your partner gets there? And you could be the U1 or the U2. Are you going to go out 15 minutes prior and do what you need to do, or are you going to wait on your partner? You're going to go out there, okay? You need to be out there 15 minutes prior. Hopefully both of you are. And then my question is say both of you go out there 15 minutes prior to the game. What are your responsibilities when you get out there? Let's say you're the referee. Anybody can take it. Let's just start throwing things out there. What do you need to be doing when you get on the court? The reason I go over this is because when I first started, nobody told me what I had to do for my first ball game. When I got out there, I didn't know what I was doing. I know you guys are not brand new. You've been in for a couple of years, but I want us to be highly consistent when we go on the floor, make sure that we're doing what we're supposed to be doing. So go for it. Start yelling some stuff out at us.
You're going to watch warm up and for any kind of possible jewelry or any kind of wristwear or anything like that.
Okay.
Uniform
perfect.
violations.
Perfect.
Check the roster.
Okay. So let's talk about that, Babby. So yeah, agreed. So if you're the referee, you're going to go over and check the books. What are you doing with the books?
Counting players.
Okay. What else?
Making sure all players' numbers are correct with the coaches, having the coaches sign off on the book.
Okay. What else are we looking for? Are we looking for starters?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Starters marked.
All right. Okay, because if anything happens under 10-minute mark, if they've changed a starter, they forgot to put him in, they're missing a number, right? We have administrative technical foul. So the earlier we can get over that to prevent all that, we need to do that. Okay, so pretty much we got all that covered. Okay, pre-game duties and our jump ball responsibilities. We went over our jump ball stuff already. So that's good. I think with that's why I wanted to go over that. What are our pre-game duties? All right. So here, there's a list on page 32. I'm not going to go over it. It's a long list. I started reading it. I was like, okay, interesting. Didn't know a lot of all that stuff. All right. I'm going to do a Google form quiz next week on pretty much page 32. Again, I will send this to you guys, but it's something that I would like for you to go look at and just understanding the procedures when we're out there, making sure we know what we're supposed to be doing before pregame duties. Okay. Responsibilities for jump ball. Real quick, we went over all the things on violations. The referee is going to be responsible for the action of the two jumpers. So if there's a foul, a hold, or they leave the circle, they steal the, all those type things, they're going to be responsible for that. They're going to be responsible for the AP arrow, making sure that the possession arrow is going the right direction. And then they got to get right into their primary coverage area, which we're going to touch on. The umpire is then responsible for all the other 8 non-jumpers. That's a lot, right? So you really got to open up your vision and you got to go find probably your most competitive matchup. If 2 kids are not even close to each other, I'm not going to worry about that. But it's really hard to referee 8. And then you're going to chop the clock when it's legally touched, not when someone gains the ball, when it's legally touched. And then you move in the direction of the basketball. And then you got to go right to your primary coverage. All right. I know a lot of you guys know this. It's just some repetition for us. All right. Any questions on that? Let me check the chat. Okay. Let's get into this primary coverage area. When I look at this,
Hey, Mark, before you go there, so let me just ask about the, because we've been talking about with the COVID response, doing a pregame prior to us getting there. So at some time during that day, can you guys just give me a vote so I can give the board like some feedback on, yes, you think it's a good idea, or no, you don't think it's a good idea?
So you're saying we're going to have a pregame on the phone as opposed to in the locker rooms, are you saying?
Correct.
Okay. So yeah, in the chat, just put yes to you're with it or no that you prefer to do it in the locker room. And then Kenny also has the rule books at his home, so he'll be able to get those right. So
Yep.
Locker room would
Thursday should be here.
Thursday, okay. Okay, most want to do locker room, Kenny. It's pretty
Okay.
everyone, they don't want to do it on the phone. Okay. Make sure if you do, make sure you're wearing your mask too, or stay 6 feet would be smart, right? If you don't want to wear your mask in the locker room. All right, so let's get into the main thing we're talking about, primary coverage area, and we spent a lot of time on this over the last 5 months. Anybody, when you look at this diagram, I mean, to me, it kind of jumps off the page, but anybody, what do you see? As soon as you look at this diagram, what's the first thing that comes into your mind when you look at this primary coverage?
Trail has majority of the coverage.
Okay. Anybody, anything different?
Where the trail and the leads should focus their areas.
Okay. Anything different? Or so we've got trail has a lot more coverage than lead, and then you also look at it as lead has red, trail has blue. That's your responsibility. Anything else?
That trail and lead are directly across from each other? Or
okay, good. Yep. So they're not on the same side, right? So trail and lead are on opposite sides, which we call box the players in. Good. Anything else?
Trail doesn't have any paint responsibility. I didn't realize that.
Okay. And we'll get into that. That's a good point. So it looks like lead has a lot of everything at the basket, and trail has everything pretty much on their side and up high towards the division line. What else?
It looks like the lead doesn't start at the lead isn't by the basket. It's more out towards the 3-point line, and the trail is at the 28-foot line.
Okay. And that's good looking at. I just grabbed this off a website. So yeah, we can talk about positioning at lead and trail. That's what we're going to go over next week as far as positioning, but I'm just strictly talking on the primary coverage. I think you guys touched on it. The first thing that jumps out to me is, to Michael's point, is wow, there's a lot of blue and not a lot of red. All right. So I mean, it's in a serious way, but it's kind of joking. The lead and trail get paid the same amount of money. Yes. All right, so when you look at this, it's like, okay, trail has a lot more than lead. Obviously, it evens its way out when we get down the other side of the floor. But that doesn't mean that trail has to take all this blue and lead cannot assist, right? So this is things you have to pregame. The biggest thing you want to pregame is when the area intersects. So you see when we get into this blue and red where it intersects, and we call these dual coverage areas. And you need to pregame them so then you're on the same page. Now, of course, we're talking about it's deep in red or in blue, then that's your primary coverage area. You need to referee strong in your primary coverage area, and you need to understand what is your primary, which we're just looking at it right now for obvious blue and red. And I want to talk about later when to get into our secondary coverages. All right, so we're talking primary and secondary coverages. Now, when we get into this, a lot of us, I've talked to Kenny and Jesse about this, when we work two-person games and this ball gets closer to lead side. So I'm not talking that this intersects at the elbow. I'm talking about all on strong side, lead side over here. Let's just think about it. If trail's on this side of the floor and we have a competitive matchup, say a ball handler and dribbler over here, and hold on. Can everyone hear me okay? Sorry, I echoed. If we have something on this side, who has a better look at that matchup? We've got trail probably 40 feet maybe away, or we have lead that can look right through this play. I think everyone could probably say lead, right? Okay. So these are things you need to pregame. If lead has nothing in the paint and this is right in front of them and trail has some other matchups on their side, we would like to give this up to lead. That's why you pregame it. I always would say, hey, if I'm at lead and the ball's on my side and it's close to that intersect and I open up to accept it, which would be a nonverbal piece, right? I open up with my shoulders. That's telling my trail what? I'm on this play. So then trail needs to get off this play. This would be a lot easier to show you guys if we were on the floor, but just try to think about it. If we had the matchup here, lead would open up their shoulders to face this. That would give a communication piece to trail. I look at okay, lead's on that play. Now I can get off. The difference would be is if the play starts in trail and continues to go over here. Well, that would be their primary matchup continuing to go into possibly lead's primary. But you don't give it up, especially if you have a on-ball count. You have to stay with that. Also, if it's a primary defender that keeps going, who's had that primary defender the longest? The trail has. I'm just talking about if the ball was passed from here over to here, right? Lead would then pick that up, and then trail could obviously get off that. These are things that you have to pregame. It's the importance of a pregame. And it's actually being a really good partner at lead. And it's, in my opinion, it's just better coverage where you're extending just a little bit, or we're going to ask trail to really extend over here. And I don't care what you say, we need to get plays right. That's the most important thing. If you want to stick to this, like you just be so concrete about this, we may end up missing plays. Also, if trail needs to get this, trail may need to end up coming too far on the floor. And then we know we can have issues of possibly a quick pass, a steal. You're in the middle of the floor, you could get run over, you got to get out the way, and those type things. Definitely don't want that to happen. So that's something when I look at this diagram that we definitely need to pregame on that. All right. I'm going to dive into some other things on the list, but Kenny, Jesse, you want to touch on anything?
No.
Yeah, Mark, just within the game itself, when you're talking about that coverage area. So we may have we might have pre-gamed it, but we may have two people who have a 3-point shot out at that trouble spot, right? That's the number one trouble spot at that 3-point line in a 2-man coverage. So what I tell people is I always know what my partner is kind of looking at. So if I have a play there, I have my peripheral on if I'm trail, I see the lead has his hands up for let's say it's just outside the 3, I drop right away and I go, because that means if he's looking at that 3, somebody's got to cover rebounding, and vice versa. If I look up and my trail has it, I go to cover rebounding. But you just have to be aware that you'll have to use your peripheral, and you'll have to have an awareness of what your partner is looking at. So important.
Good, yeah, really good point. And I'm gonna touch on later about ball watching versus ball awareness, and we'll get into that as well. But that's a good point. Any questions so far on this? You guys have anything?
Nope.
My only question is, can a closely guarded, I guess, count be transferred between the two areas? So
Nope.
Good question.
Yeah, good, really good question. No, so because if you think about it, Justin, say I'm at trail and Kenny's at lead, right? And I go 1, 2, I get to 3, and then it ends in Kenny's lap, and I drop it. Does Kenny have any idea where I'm at? Would he know I'm at 3 and then go, okay, I'm gonna take 4 and 5? So no.
Right.
The question is no. If you're on a count, you stay on that count until the count ends. So you're not going to give, really good question though, but yeah, you're not going to give it up. No matter how deep it goes. I don't care if it goes from here all the way and it ends up in lead. Lead may open up an assist on a foul and like that, but they see your count. They're not going to touch anything to do with your count. That's yours. You're going to stay with your count till it ends. And even if they dribbled, picked it up, and then you start your other count, then you're going to continue to do that as well. Good question. Anything else? Okay, so let's talk about primary coverage. So how to officials maintain proper court coverage. Number one, I think is Maria's point that we have T and lead, trail and lead on the opposite sides. So in 3-person, we have 2 strong side center. It's more of a triangle. On 2-person, obviously we're on opposite sides. We want to keep the players boxed in and see what it says whenever possible. Sometimes it's not always possible to keep all the players between lead and trail, but we want to whenever we can. Whenever we can, keep all 10 players between the 2 of us. That's obviously what we want to do. The reason I say whenever possible is because if you have, just say, a player all the way in the backcourt hanging out for whatever reason, he or she doesn't want to run down the floor. Okay, well, we're not going to worry about that player. What are we going to do? Stay all the way back and make sure that we keep that player boxed in? We're not going to do that. We need to run down the floor and keep those 9 players boxed in. Okay, so that's when it says whenever possible. Most of the time, you're going to keep them boxed in. The biggest thing is we talk about positioning and movement, which should be our next one, is you have moving to obtain the best angle on the ball and or players. We always talk about move to improve and avoid getting straight line. The easiest way on a visual is this would be an open look, right? This is an offender and a defense, and I can see through both of them. If we get a closed look, which would be typically we see backs or we see the number of the player. So ball handler dribbler is in front of me and I can see their number. Well, I know that I don't have an open look. I can't see the defender. I can't see through it. I can't pick up pivot foots. I can't pick up any illegal action if they get hit on the arm. So we have to move to improve and avoid getting straight line. Now, we say this all of our training. We would prefer you to move a lot and then try to slow you down than being a referee that just gets stuck in mud. Okay, when I first started, I was very jumpy, right? I was jumping all over the place, moving, and a lot of my mentors said, hey, continue to move, don't get me wrong. We don't want you, but you just got to be a little smarter with your movement. Get to your spot, and then maybe just work a step up, a step down, and ways to move. But for you guys, it's fine when you get out there that you move more than getting stuck in the mud, and then we can kind of scale you back and then just be smarter with your movement. We definitely don't want you just running to a spot and standing, because we know players are doing what? Players are moving, constantly moving, with the ball, without the ball. And if we just stay there, we're going to have the same look the whole time. So when they move, we need to be moving and trying to, again, avoid being straight line. When you're straight lined, 2 things will happen. You're not going to blow your whistle because you have no idea what happened, or you're going to guess. And we don't want either one of those. We certainly don't want to guess. If you're behind it and you, oh, that looks ugly, I'm going to put a foul on it, but you totally guessed. Then you watch the film later, or you got it totally wrong, right? So when you're straight lined, we're not going to get plays right. So we definitely want to move to improve, okay? Transitioning into the proper new position each time there's a change of possession of the ball. Players will beat us. Don't get it twisted. They stay the same age every single year, and unfortunately, we get a year older. You're going to get beat, but when there is times when we can transition and we can beat players down the floor, you need to do that. I always like to talk about 3 types of hustle. Sometimes we're walking. We're just walking. Players are walking up the floor. We're walking. We don't want to sprint and get ahead, and we don't want to stand still and be behind them. We just want to work with the flow of the players. Sometimes we're jogging, and sometimes we're flat out sprinting. And you guys should know the difference between when we're walking, when we're just kind of jogging, and when we're sprinting. That's going to be based on the players. If there's a quick steal and a transition and they're gone, then we better turn and bust our tails to get there. Try your best if you can. If you can beat players, you want to run through the end line and turn and accept it. Now, I want to talk about when you do get beat. You get beat. There's at some point going to tell you, okay, I've been beat. It doesn't matter how fast I run. There's no chance of me getting to the baseline where I can then accept the play and turn. And you got to be smart. That's when we talk about getting the best angle of the ball and the players and avoid getting straight line. Sometimes you may just have to stop. Just stop and let that play go right into the right lead, go right to the basket, and then you got to move to be able to see between them. A lot of you guys have worked a lot of games, so hopefully that makes sense. If you're not doing that, then something that you need to work on. If you do get beat, try not to, but when you do, it happens, then you need to stop and work your angles to try and adjudicate that play as best as you can. Properly identifying and monitoring primary coverage areas. We just went over that. So the first thing, you have to understand primary coverage. That's it. We talked about blue and red, just trying to keep it as simple as possible. When you go into your ball game, you need to know what your primary responsibility is when you're at trail and when you're at lead. That's battle number one. I need to know where I'm looking, where I'm supposed to be looking. Then you need to understand your secondaries, which I'll get into. Secondary coverage would be, I'm looking in my primary and there is nothing going on, which happens. You could have 10 players all outside the three-point line running some kind of spread offense. Nobody's in the post. No one's in the paint. Well, am I just going to continue to stare into space and hope someone comes into my area, or are we going to extend into our secondary? That's what you need to do, obviously, to be a great partner. There's no way the other I don't know any referee in the world that can referee 10 players, 8 players, 6 players. They just can't. So then you got to understand that, okay, I find my primary coverage area. There's nothing competitive in my now I need to get into my secondary. That doesn't mean you go immediately to the basketball. If you go right to the basketball, where do you think your other partner is? They're on the basketball on that competitive matchup. So if you go right to the basketball, now we've got 2 sets of eyes on typically 2 players, where are all the other 8 players? So we need to go to our next competitive matchup, what our partner cannot see. So that's what, and again, I don't have a clip to show you right now, anything like that. If we're on the floor, we could go through it, but just think about that. Go to my primary coverage, look for my most competitive matchup. If there's nothing in my competitive matchup, get into my secondary. What can my partner not see that I can help with? So that's, and it says here, properly identifying secondary coverage areas to assist on the other when there's no action within the primary coverage area. All right, let's talk about lead real quick. I'm not going to get into this too much because next week Soupy's going to go over each one, but the lead should be prepared to use a ball side mechanic when going ball side. The lead still has responsibility in the original sideline. So I'm going to ask you guys, and you can put it in the chat or you can come out and talk. Can lead rotate to trail side on the baseline when they need to? And have you ever done that? For example, there's 8 players on the other side on trail. There's some post players over there. You going to stay there, or are you able to rotate over onto that side?
Can anybody answer, Mark?
Yeah.
Yes, you can.
Okay. Anybody got anything different? Okay, you can rotate. I don't see it a lot. I don't see it a lot. I see that we just stay there and we don't want to rotate over. We need to rotate over, especially if all action, multiple players are on that side. We need to rotate over. However, you also have to understand when the play transitions to the other end, I got to get my tail back on where I came from, because now we can't run down and we have trail and lead on the same side. Now we don't have our boxing principles when we're supposed to. So yes, you come over, but understand if there's a steal or the ball goes in or we have a change of possession, I need to then come back to my original side, and I'm going to be trail coming up the floor opposite my lead. Okay. Rulings may be made outside of anyone's primary, but the primary coverage area should be given the first opportunity. This is when we get into our secondaries. I am going to go over this, talk about cadence whistle. So some of you have heard it, some of you may not. Cadence is the timing of your whistle. So for example, myself and Jesse are working a basketball game. I'm a trail. he's at lead. There is a play at trail. There's a foul at trail, and lead sees the foul as well. Our whistles go off the same time. That's not the correct cadence. If lead is blowing the same time at trail, that means they're ball watching and they're not giving the first opportunity to the primary coverage official. So in that situation, you may see the foul, nothing wrong with that because there's nothing in your area. You're assisting, you're helping, and then you see the foul. You need to give that first opportunity to trail. They don't have a whistle, then you have that cadence whistle. And the way that you become really good at a cadence whistle is we talk about one, self-talk, which is huge in refereeing. We gotta have self-talk, gotta have some whistle discipline, and we wanna keep the air low in our belly. So I'm not sure if any of you have heard that before, but keeping the air low in your belly will eliminate you being fast on whistles, blowing on contact, and also allowing plays to finish. We're not going to get into too much, but just remember this: SDF, start, develop, finish. You want to play to start, you want it to develop, finish, and then you want to have an outcome. If it's a foul, a no call, whatever it is that may be. But it's always better to have a late whistle than have an early one. And I'm sure all of us on here had fouls. We're like, ugh, dang it. Kind of anticipated that one. I was a little quick. Maybe if I just waited a second, I probably wouldn't have touched it. And we've all done it. All right. So just that's what we want to be more patient than quick on that. All right. It does talk about non-basketball plays. So we're talking about flagrant, unsportsman. We don't care about primary coverage. And for every referee in the country, no matter what level, when we're talking about non-basketball plays, flagrants, elbows, that type of stuff, it doesn't matter where you are. You need to go get those. And it doesn't matter if you blow the same time. It doesn't matter if you have 2 whistles on a play that happens. There is no primary. Nothing. Regardless, it says right, these should be ruled immediately, regardless of where they're located. Primaries, we don't care about that. Non-basketball plays, they need to be gotten no matter what. Don't worry about getting someone's area and hurting their ego. Those we have to get. And then we talk about the pregame. Officials must thoroughly pregame on-ball and off-ball coverage in areas where covers intersect. That's the biggest thing, right? Everybody can stay in their primary, like we talked about, red and blue. Understand your primary. Understand your secondary, which we talked about, understanding it, your cadence whistle, and then areas of intersect. And it could be different, right? It could be different each ball game, but you have that pregame. And like I said, if I'm in your game and I'm at lead, I'm going to tell you, hey, the ball comes to my side, it's close to, it's, outside the 3-point line, a little higher. I'm probably going to open up and take that. Just look at me. I open up. You can get off it. There may be some other referees that say, no, you need to stay on that. I'm at lead. I'm going to look inside the paint. I don't care if it's close to me, it's out there, it's still above the 3-point line, above the free throw line extend. You need to take it. Doesn't matter which way you do it. That's the purpose of the pregame. And how are you going to cover those areas of the intersect? Same to Kenny's point on a 3-point shot. Shot goes up right on that intersect. We can't have the trail and the lead both having a 3-point signal. We've got 2 sets of eyes on a 3-point shooter. That one may be wide open, so you're watching one player. Maybe there's a closeout. That's 2 players. Who's watching other 8, 9 players? So that's what you have to pregame as well. Hey, if we do come up, someone's got to drop. Whoever drops gets off the rebound coverage. Whoever stays with it needs to stay with the 3-point shooter up and down and protect them to the floor. So if we simplify it, that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to simplify this as much as possible. Understand your primaries, be patient in your secondaries, and talk about your intersect coverage areas. You should have a pretty smooth game. Hopefully your judgment's great, right? That's another thing. But if your judgment's great and you do this and you work the system, because this is a system, our boxing principles should be pretty, you should be pretty good on the way that you call your basketball game. Any questions on this?
Hey, Mark, hey, can you just cover drive originating from the trail going to the basket?
Absolutely.
Primary, secondary defender.
Sure. Okay, so let me get my little annotation. I'm getting better at this, so hopefully it works out. So we're talking about a strong side drive to the basket, okay? So this is where the ball is coming from trail all the way to the basket, and then let's say leads where they're supposed to be. Low lead's gonna then possibly get a little, maybe close down home base, whatever. They're not gonna be this wide, all right? So we talk about, and I'm gonna give it to the group, all right? Trail goes to the basket. and let's say, let me see if I can actually put something in here. We have a drive to the basket. Who's responsible for that drive all the way to the basket?
Trail.
Trail.
Why? Okay. Why though? Okay, good. But why are we saying that they're
Because
responsible for that?
it originated in his location, in his area,
Okay.
PCA.
He probably has a better view. The lead is probably covered. View is probably obstructed with too many players.
Okay.
I would say
Anything?
too that the lead has a responsibility to watch the play in his primary, rebounding activity, blocking out, those sort of things.
Okay.
I was going to say that Trail has the most information on the drive since it started in his area, and he should follow it all the way to the basket.
Okay.
I think if the lead has a good position, he'll have the finish of the play at the basket, which a lot of times a lot of fouls happen late.
Okay. I like that as well, Eli. So we've got lead, Trail going to the basket. They would have the strong side. They would have the view, but then we're saying leads closer to the play in the paint, and that ends up in the paint. All right. We got to pregame these type of coverages. Primary defender all the way to the basket. So let's just say on this Trail drive, let's say number 5 is the primary defender on the ball handler dribbler. Trail needs to stay with this all the way to the basket and referee the primary defender. They could be on the left, they could be on the right, they could be behind, they could be in front of them, whatever. They need to stay with that primary defender because they've had them from start to finish. If we have, and just to say it goes all the way to the basket and there's nobody else on that side and they go in and 5 fouls, that's Trail's primary coverage based on it starts in their primary. It's the same defender all the way to the basket. They need to stay with that defender. They have all the information. Okay, let's talk about, like to Eli's point, let's say number 3, White, is in the paint. And 3 White comes over and fouls the shooter. Whose primary coverage is that? Are we going to go with Trail or are we going with lead?
Lead.
Why?
Because the primary defender was started in lead's position or area.
Okay.
The off-ball player. So the lead would, because the Trail's following the player with the ball to the basket, so the lead should be watching the other players.
Okay.
I think
Anybody
the Trail would probably have a close look on that since he's away from the play, and the lead would probably have a better look.
Okay. So we're all saying lead, right? Anybody think Trail? Okay. Here's some things to think about. Everybody's correct. Let's talk about closest defender. You should use this in your game. Closest defender, okay, and who has the defender the longest. So let's just take those 2 principles: closest defender and who has the defender the longest. So on this one, on Trail, number 5, closest defender, Trail, has all the information all the way to the basket. Number 3, there's no way Trail would pick up 3 before lead. To everybody's point, they're in lead's primary. Lead should be looking off ball, should not be on the ball. 3 is their closest defender, and they have them the longest. They step over, they would understand if they were illegal or legal. So absolutely, these are things you have to pregame. We talk in this, I just talk about San Antonio chapter, secondary defenders, help defenders, we want to give first crack to lead. That's in 2-person or 3-person mechanics. Secondary defenders, we want to be patient and give primary whistle to lead. That doesn't mean that Trail can have a secondary whistle if lead doesn't have anything, but that's the way we want to cover drives from Trail, primary defender, all the way to the basket, stay with that defender, lead, secondary defender, in those both situations, depending on what happens, that's what would go on. Lead has to be disciplined on the first situation, even though it may end up right in front of the paint. They don't have all the information. It's come from the other side. And I think someone said that they may have some things in their way, right? They've got maybe defenders, they got the basket, the backboard, the net, they got all that as well on a primary defender coming across the paint. So we got to be disciplined on that coming across the paint. Now we take it on lead side and the play comes from lead all the way to the basket. Who has primary defender on that? Lead, right? Lead's gonna have primary defender. If we have maybe a defender sliding over from a and Lee doesn't pick him up, then Trail can assist on that. Most of the time, drives in the basket, in the paint, we'd like to give to Lead, because most of the time it's a secondary defender. Leads have it the longest and they happen right in front of them. This situation I gave first, it's different because it's coming from Trail's side and it would be a primary defender. Any questions on this? Kenny, Jesse, you want to add to it?
I think you covered it very well, Mark.
Okay. And I can't. I don't know why I did this annotation. Now my thing is froze on me. Kenny, you want to add anything? Kenny, you there?
Hey, I'll just add one thing to that though, Mark. Definitely to cover to your point is that that's definitely an item that you definitely want to pregame. You know, how you want to take and handle the primary, secondary defenders, you know, drive to the basket, and also that transition area as far as the three-pointer.
Dang it. Don't tell me I lost everybody.
Was, I typed it there on the, I just put in when the ball handler to the basket from where his position to opposite the Trail side of the floor to the basket. That Trail still has to cover that. It's a tough thing to cover. That's something that probably, I mean, I always try to pregame that because, boy, sometimes I just don't, I need help on that because it just goes away from me. It's clear on the other side. So I just mentioned that.
Yeah, so James, you're talking about on Lead side, right? Coming from here?
Correct.
Yeah, so and this is something you definitely have to pregame. The one I went over was a lot more straightforward. I think everybody could understand that. But we're talking about, okay, so we have a drive coming from here. Is this what we're saying, James?
I'm saying, let's say he drives from there, but he's coming over the top. He's going past the two elbows, and he's just say he's a lefty, right? So he's driving the left side. And he's just going away from me, and so he's actually just above the elbows, and he's driving to the opposite side of the basket. So you know, I've always, you know, the rule you always told me was if a player is moving to the left, you should step to the right.
Correct.
But in that case, sometimes that's really hard to see because of all the traffic in the paint. I tend to come over the top more and try to get a look at that. But it's just a tough thing to watch, and it's a tough thing to see. And I always ask for help on that in a pregame.
I'm glad you said that, James. For some of y'all that have done three-person mechanics and some of you that have not, when you work three-person, you don't ever want to go back to two-person. Kenny says it all the time. It's so true, because just having that extra set of eyes is huge. Our coverage is a little smaller. Two-person is really hard. You're gonna miss plays. You just are. There's angles you got to fight for. You got to move, and that's why it's vital to pregame secondary coverage areas. And to your point, James, it may be in your primary, and you got a lot of players, and they're moving, and you're trying to fight to get angles, and you just don't get it. Then that's why you have an extra set of eyes to help on those, right? It could start in Trail's primary, could go stay in their primary, get to the basket, and then three players run in front of them, or it curls away or whatever. Then that's when we have to assist. No egos, right? And we've been talking about changing the culture with our chapter all off season, talking about getting plays right is more important than anything. But it's just when you come out of your primary. That was a big discussion we had. When do we want to come out of our primary? Well, the first one was easy when we talked about flagrant. Non-basketball plays, flagrant. You don't need to worry about your primary. You need to come out and get those. I come up with a list of 3 things that I want to share with you, and I've got it from, you know, mentors that I've talked to, and it's kind of been the same theme that they've talked about. 3 things when you want to come out of your primary. It needs to be illegal. You definitely don't want to come out of your primary and you guess on the play and you wasn't sure if it's not. It's the worst thing to come out and you get the play wrong. So it's got to be illegal. Has to be obvious where, you know, lady, grandma up top of the stands can see it. Everybody can see it. Legal, obvious, and then it's got to be good for the game. It's got to fit the game. It's got to make sense, right? So if you can put those three things into a play, and Kenny will probably say, hey, you're giving too much. I don't know. I think this group can understand those three things, can understand illegal contact. Is it obvious? And does it good and fit the game? Is it good and does it fit the game? If all those criteria are met, then boom, your antennas go up. Boom, I'm going to go get it. And then your partner should say what? Thank you for getting that, because I'm not sure what happened. Okay. Ken, you want to add to that?
Yeah, I would then, I agree with I'm okay with giving that kind of information, but talk a little bit about what fits the game. What are you talking about? What does that mean?
Go for it.
Okay, so fits the game is things like if we've been having rough play and we have crashes that are happening, we want to be consistent in that kind of stuff. So we want to get those kind of fouls that are obvious, illegal, and that fits the game, right? 40-point basketball game. I always tell people at a point in my game where we have a timeout, we have a big lead. It's okay to miss. It's okay to miss. Maybe something for the team that's winning by 20, not on purpose, just that it's okay to miss. But we cannot miss the team that's down 20. Those are the ones that we have to have our antennas up. We have to be so much more aware, because that's what makes games unsafe. So those are that's what we're talking about when what fits the game. I think that would help. And I do like that we talk, because in two-man, you're more likely to come out of your primary because you see something illegal, because there's 10 people in front of two people, and the angles are just so different. So I'm okay with obvious illegal, but fitting the game. You'll get a feel for what fits your game.
Yeah, good points, Kenny. Any questions on that? I think illegal, obvious, everybody knows that, but yeah, fits the game, good for the game. But are we good on that? Any confusion? So Kenny did a good job of explaining that. Okay, good. Any questions so far? Okay, we're moving on. All right. So here's what we're gonna do to finish. We're gonna do some clips. You make the call. Then we're gonna go over some primary clips, and then we're gonna close on a little Kahoot that we went over. And then we got any questions for you guys, and we'll get out of here. I'm hoping we get out of here 8 o'clock all the time. The reason we did 6 to 8 p.m. is we talked about, let's keep that 2-hour window. Myself, Kenny, and Jesse were big believers on that. We don't want to keep you here too long where we lose you, but we also don't want to cut it short where we don't feel like we've used our time wisely. So we're moving pretty good. I think we're going to get done by 8, but if we move in a different direction, then we're just going to keep pressing on. And don't feel like you have to stay till 8. But if you're able to, and we go, and some will go longer than others, we'd love for you to stay. All right. So we're going to do, you make the call clips. I'll show it. I'm going to be nice because it may glitch. I'm going to show it twice. All right. So I'll go twice, and then you got to take a look at it. And then just put yourself in that. We're not going to go over positionings and coverages and all that right now. Just these is, what would you have on this? I'm not even going to give like, would you have a block, a charge, a no call? I'm just good. You guys just go with what you would have, and then we'll dive into each one as needed to. Okay. So here's the first one. Let me maximize it. All right, here we go. It's on the rebound. As you can see, you probably may have missed it. We have a collision on the floor. So that's why I'm going to show it again. It's right over here. All right. What do we have?
Offender pushes the defender.
Okay. Then type it in. Go. Type it in. So we got, and first one I'll kind of give it. We got common foul, a no call, intentional foul, technical foul. What you guys got on this?
Can you play it again?
Nope. Twice. Did you already see it? I said only twice.
I saw it.
All right. You get 2 goes at it, Justin. All right, so see what we got. We got foul on green. We got technical foul. A foul on white, 24. Okay. Got an offensive foul. That's like 6 answers. Come on. Just go with what you go with. I don't care if you're wrong. Like, you're
Can you
the
replay
referee.
it one more time, please?
Oh, y'all are kidding. All right. Gabby. All right. Last
Thanks,
time.
Gabby.
I'll be
Appreciate
nice.
it.
I know, Justin. She's saving you. All right, here we go. Right here. Shot goes up. All right. Not showing it again.
I don't
All right,
think it was a foul because the guy tripped.
Okay.
He tripped. It wasn't
Yeah, I changed mine.
intentional.
Oh, you got
No
change
call.
yours now? No call, no call. Okay.
Alex, no call.
All right. So let's get into this real quick, okay? So I'll go slow-mo. All right, so shot goes up, yes? Let's just look at the green player in the corner right here. We're saying this is a no call, where the defender, the offensive player, is looking directly at him in the back, doesn't even go to rebound the basketball, and excessively throws him to the ground. Now, someone said he got tripped up. He did. Yeah, White did trip him up. How did White end up on the floor? Push in the back, rebound, foul on offense.
Looks like he pushed him in the back, 24 green.
Correct. So I'll talk a little bit about coverage on this. Let's just say it's 2-person game. I know it's 3-person, but we can just say this is trail. Trail has. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, but isn't White's clearly taking a step to the right to box out, right? I mean, it's not like Green's trying to run into him. So in fact, he's not even headed towards the basket. It looks like Green's path isn't even headed towards the basket. So I don't know that I could call that on Green because he can't stop his momentum to prevent from the contact.
Hey, Mark, I know we all called it a push, but that's a shoulder to his back. I mean, that wasn't, I mean, if you want to get technical, he dropped the shoulder. That's an
I didn't think he leaned into it at all. I mean,
no, he did. Look, right there. Look. No, his arm doesn't even come up. He used his shoulder.
Look at the left arm underneath the armpit right there.
Okay. I'm just telling y'all right now. I'm telling you. This is a foul on green. 24 is displacement. That's it. If we want to get into, well, did White step in front a little bit in this? What's the big elephant in the room? We're going to be really careful. Say, oh, well, White stepped a little bit to that right. That doesn't give the right for Green to shove him in the back and displace him excessively to the floor. This isn't even a common foul.
You want a hamburger?
So a couple things on this play. So, and Justin, you got to stop thinking like a basketball player. That's the first thing. It is. It's hard. That's the crossover, right? But where is he positioned on the floor? He's entitled to the position on the floor, right? He beats him to that spot, for one, right? And then to Babby's point, let's say he tripped. A foul doesn't have to be committed on purpose, right? So you can trip into a player, knock him down. It's still a foul. And you'll hear coaches say that. Hey, he didn't do that on purpose. He doesn't have to do it on purpose. So it's positioning on the floor. Does he beat him to the spot? Yes. Is he entitled to his place on the floor? Yes. But
wouldn't that make it a common?
Yeah, but in my opinion, look at is that a natural basketball play to throw your shoulder into that guy's back? Okay. And we also talked on this play early in the summer. Okay, now we got to look at the schools. Be aware. We have to be aware of who's playing who. So that's Burbank and Kennedy. Right? So we know that's a battle. So again, we got to be just a little bit aware of those kind of things that's going on. But my biggest thing is positioning on the floor.
Yep. So
To me, that's
exactly. Go ahead, James.
To me, that's a technical. He's
Okay.
throwing his left elbow and shoulder into him. If you look at his left arm, shoulder, he's leaning in, he's throwing it into him. He's laying him out on the floor. And to me, that's, if you read page 33, Article 3, Section D, excessive contact with an opponent while the ball is live until airborne. And that's what that is. I mean, he's just laying him out.
Yep. So here's a little homework for you guys. I've said this all, you don't have to do it, nothing mandatory here, but read Section 4 definitions. It can help us with our judgment. If we understand definition, James just read a definition. And if you can take that definition and you can apply it to this, which you just did, then that's what we have, okay? At worst, it's a foul, right? We can always blow our whistle, we have a foul. And then we can always upgrade to something more if we need to. Having a no call in this, it's one, very hard to defend it on film. Two, how does this hurt the game by getting this foul early in the game? They just barely started. They're going to get the scores like 5-2 or whatever. And to Kenny's point, understanding the schools and the rivalry, this is what we consider cleanup foul. Get this early. Same with hand checks. Like, you set the tone early in your ball games. You ain't going to worry about this. If you let this pass, let's just think about the next play down the floor. 24, you think he's going to be happy with his face on the floor? He knows what happened. Now, he may retaliate, go down the floor, and have issues with him, then good luck, all right? We don't want that. Now, I'm going to talk real quick on primary coverage on this. This is a tough play to cover. So let's talk two-person on this. So two-person, here's our lead on the baseline, and just say, even though they're center, this is trail. They have the shot. The shot goes up, okay? So they want to stay with the shooter, and they want to protect them all the way down, and they want to pick up this. We need to take a step on the floor. I'm not getting in the position too much, but we talked about getting that open look to see if this closeout could graze the elbow, the forearm, or hit on the follow-through, then we could possibly have a foul, right? So we have that. Whose primary coverage is this, real quick? I'm talking about the rebounders right here. The action where the two kids end up having that massive crash right here. Trails, right? Trails, right?
Trail.
Everybody agree, trail, okay? So this would be a situation. Let's look at lead. Lead has somewhat of a primary competitive matchup in the paint, okay? But also, if we widen out and back out, what happens to our vision? I don't want to talk about it too much because Soupy's going to talk on it here. But now our vision opens up. What could possibly happen? We could see this in our peripheral. That's one. Also, number two, when the shot is released and the shooter comes down to the floor and they've cleared, we now need to get off immediately and get to rebound coverage. Like I said, okay, I got the shooter up and down there, good. Right? That's my first primary. That's my first action I need to go to. They could have then gone right to that rebound coverage. Again, if we'd have stepped on the floor, stepped down, we could see through this, all right? Also, if you see this at lead, you're at lead and you see this, based on what we talked about, and everyone should know the answer, can you come get this play?
Yes.
Okay. That's the point of it. You can come get this play based on you gave your trail an opportunity. Here's your secondary cadence, and it's definitely illegal. It's definitely obvious. Kids on the floor, face on the floor, and it definitely fits the game. It's good for the game. Okay. Any questions on that? Jesse, Ken, want to add to it? Jesse, go ahead. You got something?
Mark, is to say that anytime that you have a player going to the floor, the question that you need to ask yourself is, how did that player get to the floor? You know, regardless of what position you're in, you know, someone, two officials or three officials, someone should know how that player actually got to the floor.
Yep, good point. Good point. Yep, thanks, Jess. Anyone else?
I have a question. So, say the trail followed the shooter, right? The shooter was cleared. Is it okay that the trail now calls that foul after he has cleared the shooter? So,
absolutely.
All the way through, and it's really of a call.
Absolutely. So, the short answer is yes. For you to kind of raise your level to be, and I wouldn't say it's the brand new referees. This is a group that you guys have been identified. And I'm hoping not giving too much. Kenny always tells me, so you can tell me if I am. But here, to raise your, kind of make you to hit a different level is when you can try to referee multiple matchups. I'm not saying you can referee 5 matchups. Nobody can do that, right? But When you get stuck on just one matchup, then you tend to miss what? The secondary one, the one that happens right after it, right? I'll give an easy example. You have a ball handler, dribbler, and a defender right in front of you. Maybe you have an on-ball count. Here comes an on-ball screen, right? If I can pick up that on-ball screen coming before that screen gets into my vision, I'm going to have a better understanding if that's a legal screen or legal. But if I focus so much on the ball handler, dribbler, I don't see the screen come. Now when the screen gets there and the player goes and it happens like super fast and it's boom. Now you have to react in a quick second, right? So then you don't understand that screen coming. You're not even seeing what we call the next play. That's the best way. We're seeing the next play ahead. So to answer that, to Maria, exactly what you said, the next play on this would be that rebound coverage right next to the shooter. So in a perfect world, you'd mark the three-point shot. It's not competitive on the closeout. You go to your secondary matchup, the rebound coverage, boom, you would get it. That would be a perfect world. That's really hard in two-person. And then at lead, nothing says you can't get it. So yes, it's Trell's primary. We would like Trell to have first crack. Lead needs to come and get that play if Trell doesn't. Hopefully that answers. Kenny, you good with that?
Yep, perfect.
Okay, good. All right, good.
Okay, I'm sorry, if you don't mind, can I ask the protocol for the, I guess, 3 different scenarios on how the process is called? So let's say, like, I think it was Maria who just asked, if the trail gets it after he clears the shooter, what's the protocol? Next one is if the lead gets it while ball's in flight. And then the next one is if you call it a technical.
Okay, so let's talk about if we have an off-ball foul, right? First thing is we have to understand the status of the ball. If we know the status of the ball, then to answer your question, Justin, we know how to adjudicate everything from here on out. So the
You
foul
glitched
is
on that. I don't know if you glitched on that, Mark.
Okay,
so
I'll
I
say
don't
it
know
again,
if
okay?
you did for me. I don't know if anyone else glitched
Okay,
on.
I'll say it again. Anytime we have an off-ball foul, off the ball, we need to understand the status of the basketball. When we have an on-ball foul, you know the status of the ball because it's in you're having that foul with the basketball, right? So in this situation, the ball and there's an off-ball foul and rebound coverage. Number one, when we call that foul, we need to understand the status of the ball. In this situation, the ball is in flight. There's no team control, but the ball is in flight. Then we need to understand if the foul's on the offense or the defense. That changes things. So in this situation, the foul was on the offense, right? It was a teammate. We're going to, because the ball's in flight, we're going to score the basket. So if that ball went in, we're going to score the basket. We're going to have a whistle, and then we're going to report that foul. If it's a common foul, okay, score the. So if you have, if I was the one that had the foul, boom, have the foul, okay. I'm going to score the basket. I'm going to score it. Then I'm going to go report to the table. I got a foul, green 24 push, and then we're going to take the ball out of bounds where the spot of the foul is. This one would be on the baseline, okay. Now, let's talk about if we have a intentional foul or technical foul. Exactly the same thing. Foul, score the basket. We have a technical foul. Well, that's different. We're not going to go point interruption where it was a common foul. We're going to go shoot 2 free throws. They're going to shoot 2 free throws down the other end of their basket. They're going to get the ball back at the division line opposite the table. Okay? If lead has the whistle, let's say both situations, same thing. Lead's going to have a foul. They're going to score the basket. And then they'll do exactly the same thing. So the calling official will score the basket, and then they will report the foul. And depending what's going on, we go back to where the spot of the foul was or what occurred. Common foul, take the ball out of bounds. Technical foul, we're going to go shoot 2 shots, and they'll get the ball back. Make sense? Justin, is that good? Does that help?
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you. Appreciate it.
All right.
So let me talk a little bit about the management of that play. So let's say we missed that play. And so I would say to that player, because the player is pissed off, and I would say to the player, hey, man, I missed that one. I promise, I believe that what you're telling me is true. I promise you I'm not going to miss another one, but I can't have you retaliate. Just if you get the opportunity, because you know if you got knocked down in a game like that, you know it's like a jolt to your back. You're pissed off. So let's just be and watch those to that fact. When those players get up, watch them all the way down the floor, because the tendency is to go right back at that player, especially when you don't get a whistle. So just maybe those kind of things to help you to manage people, right? Because your manager's on that floor. So we kind of help manage their emotions as well.
Yep, good point. Any other questions on that? All right, we're gonna do one more, well, maybe I have time for two more, but let's go one more, okay? Exactly the same thing. I'm not doing it 3 times, Justin Babby. I'm doing it twice. And then you just gotta give us an answer what you got, and then we'll go through it, okay? Here we go, let me move this. Don't pay attention to college basketball. What would we do in a high school game? And I don't mind going slow-mo on the contact here. Okay, what we got? Okay, we got 2 answers right now. It's not a no call, so we know that, all right? So no one's having a no call in this one. Okay, so we got 3 intentionals, 1 common foul, okay, 2 common fouls, 3 common fouls, okay, half and half. Common, okay, some more common. Common, okay, pushing it back, common, all right. 1 more intentional, a few more. Intentional, okay. All right, so we're more common than intentional, all right? So, like I said, I'm gonna read you guys an intentional foul, and let's see if it changes. It may not, all right? But if I go to intentional foul, it is on page 33. It's under section 4, my favorite one, right? So we get into intentional fouls, and it has them. It's just gonna, these are the ones that would classify under an intentional. Contact that neutralizes an opponent, obvious advantageous position. Contact away from the ball, we know it's not that. Contact that is not legitimate attempt to play the ball, play specifically designed to stop the clock. Excessive contact with opponent while the ball is live or until an airborne shooter returns to the floor. And another one is contact with a throw in. So I'm looking at 2 of these, right? Contact that is not a legitimate attempt to play the ball, and then excessive contact with an opponent while the ball is live until an airborne shooter returns to the floor. We have to understand when a shooter is airborne, they are a lot more vulnerable. They don't have control of their body, right? We have to protect shooters while they're airborne. The smallest bit of contact can cause them to obviously become off balance and possibly be extremely dangerous, all right? On this one, I look at legitimate attempt to play the basketball. Also, I see a kid grabbing closer to the shoulders and possibly pulling them down. Now, when we get into intentional fouls, I hear a lot of referees say, well, they didn't intentionally do it. Are we saying that you have to intentionally do it? How can we get inside a player's head to determine if they intentionally wanted to pull that person down by the shoulders or they did it by accident? We got to take that out. We don't try to get into a player's head to determine if they were mad or they weren't mad. Is it a good player that has a good attitude? Is it a bad player? Like, we just don't do that. We got to take the play on its own merit, all right? So if I'm going to show it again, and it may not change anybody. I'm not trying to steer you guys any way, but maybe if you look at it and we're talking about a legitimate play at the ball. So if we look at number 3 here, making a legitimate play of the ball, 1, he's not in great position to do that. He gets beat, right? Doesn't do a good job of trying to get in front or trying to make a play on the ball, either going up to block the shot or whatever. So then he grabs him on his inside shoulder and then also grabs him on the outside shoulder. So that's 2. I would love to hear someone that believes this is a legitimate play at the ball and it's somewhat excessive. I wouldn't say really excessive. I just think it falls under the category of not making a legitimate play at the ball. Look where the ball is. Ball's already at the basket and we're pulling down at the shoulders. So I have an intentional foul in this play, and we would have 2 shots that needs to be shot by this player, and then we would go spot of the foul. So on intentional fouls, 2 shots, no one lined up, we're going to put the ball on the end line. Just technical foul, we're going to go division line. So intentional fouls are going to go to the spot of the foul. Someone, I'd love to hear from you that put common foul, if you still believe it's a common foul, and why. Or has everybody come onto my side?
Well, I don't think you can see that right arm on the regular clip to give, or I don't think they would have had that.
They saw it.
But I do have a question. So an intentional foul, where would the 9 players, where do they have to stay? Anyone?
Good question.
I'll try it.
Okay.
You're talking about assessing the 2 free throws on a right?
Yes, sir.
They would have to back up behind the behind the free throw line, just like a technical, I would think. And then the question,
half court?
Well, no, like between the half circle and the half court line, because they're going to get the ball after they shoot the 2 shots. So there wouldn't be any reason for them to even line up anyway.
Does everybody agree with James?
Yeah, I agree. Behind 3-point line.
Okay, good.
Because I'm glad, yeah.
Good answer.
And Kenny's point is we see so many referees on technical fouls and intentional fouls. Now you get back to half court, you got to get on this side of half court, which is not in the rule book. It's just you got to be just like a regular free throw. They got to be behind the 3-point line and behind free throw line extended. It's the same on intentional fouls and technical fouls. Now, if kids want to go to half court and separate, absolutely. We're not going to say, oh, no, you can come up. No, we want to keep them as far away from the shooter as possible. But yeah, it's good to know that ruling on that. But I guess nobody wants to go common foul on this. This is a prime example of understanding definitions can help you with your judgment. Because once, I think everyone might say common foul. Yeah, that's just a common foul. But then you go, oh man, didn't make attempt at the ball, right? That's where I'm getting at, is just understanding definitions can definitely help you with your judgment. All right.
I just think the play. I completely missed the grabbing of the shoulders. When you slowed it down, it was obvious.
Okay. So, and it could glitch. So I'm with that. You know what I mean? So yeah, and that's why
I'm with him. I didn't see the right hand go to, on the outside.
Okay.
So I just saw the left. That's why it keeps coming down.
In what book are you reading the definitions? Because this is the one I'm looking at.
The rule book.
33.
The rule book. What book are you in? The manual? That's the case, isn't it? That's the manual.
That's the manual.
Manual, yeah. You want to go rule book. That's all right.
Rule book?
Oh, I can't even do it on my screen because I got this funny background. Yeah, go rule book, and it's going to be page 28. That's your section. It's a good section to read. Okay.
So if they would have called that like a hold on the shooter?
No, intentional foul. I'm going to come out like this. Intentional foul.
Same thing. Okay.
Yeah. And this one in this game, they had a triple whistle. I'm not going to get into that, but all of them had intentional foul. Like it wasn't even like, not even one of them, they all came bam like that because they understand what the definition is on a intentional foul, and then you go right to it. Okay. All right, we'll go one more.
See the question? Was that question asked before?
Okay. If you wrapped up the ball handler and had gotten airborne, would that change your evaluation? How much definition had it to be with the airborne? Okay, yeah. So that's a good question, right? Yeah, I'm talking. So Matthew's asking if he wrapped up the ball handler and hadn't gone airborne. Okay, so we see that happen a lot, right? It's where they're out of position, and instead of them like, oh, I'm just gonna wrap them up before they get airborne. Okay, does it make a change in your evaluation? It does. It would change it. It would have to be based on I have to see that particular play, because not being airborne definitely changes it, because they're so much more vulnerable in air. They can't control their body. But again, if you deem they're not making a legitimate play at the ball and they're just wrapping them up from behind, then yeah, absolutely an intentional foul would support you going intentional foul. Now, I'm not saying that every single one of them may wrap them up is intentional. It could be based on how excessive it is. If it's just they both stop playing and everything's good, okay, that may be where you go common. You have a conversation with your crew to see what you want to do. But absolutely, I believe if they wrap them up prior and they're not airborne, would change my decision on that. But that's not saying that you could not go intentional foul based on if they're not making legitimate play of the ball. It's a good question because we see it a lot. All right, Kenny, Jess, you want to add to that?
No, I think I mean, if for me, it's just if there's not a play on the ball, like they do it in it. You look in the NBA how they do it as they're beat and they're going by. In our game, that's an intentional foul, but in their game, it's allowable.
Take foul, whatever.
You guys know the kind of play I'm talking about. They're breaking away. They see the guy. They just wrap somebody up. No harm, no foul kind of thing. That's not true in our game. In our game, that's an intentional foul.
And we're not consistent on that, Matthew, at all. And that's things that I think that we need to get better at on that. All right, let's go. Let's go Kahoot. Let's go one more Kahoot. Okay, I'm gonna get into this. Grab your Kahoots on. That's my new saying. Get the Kahoot on. We're gonna go to. Let me see if I can get into here. Here we go. All right, so we got quiz 2. This is our second one. All right. Oh, the music's gonna come on too. Which is Jeopardy music. All right. All right, there's your pin. So this quiz, hopefully y'all bang it out. We'll give another one, right? Kenny, Jess, we give another prize for this one.
Okay.
All right. I got a bunch of whistles I want to get. My little come on ref whistles. I want to give them away. Clueless, love it. Clueless is gonna win. I like that. Whistle Bonds. All right. So yeah, Michael's already think he's gonna win it. There we go. All right, 16. Dwayne's gonna try to keep his title. What do we got on here? We got 23 minus me and Jesse's 21.
Hey,
Jesse, you in?
I don't know why I'm not showing up. I answered the question.
Are you clueless?
No.
All right, let's roll out. Here we go. All right. So this is everything we went over, game procedures and PCA. We should knock this out. I don't think I made it too hard. Wait, one more phone.
Oh, I was stuck on the sample question. I forgot to put in the pin.
Oh, okay. You would have got 100, Jess. You're good.
I hope.
Yeah. All right. Oh, come on. I'm a bad teacher. Man, failed 16 to 2.
Jesse,
right,
you can still join. The pin's in the bottom of the page.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Okay.
There you go. Thanks, Eli. 553-4099. I'll wait on you, Jesse. Let me know when you're in. All right, so Eli's up. Clueless. There we go. So the referee checks the score book, not the umpire. Referee's going to go over there. Jesse, you in?
It says time up.
All right, then you're out. All right. True or false?
Good.
It'll be 18 out of 18. I know it is. 2 more. Umpire has primary responsibility for action of the jumpers. 30 seconds. There we go. All right. No, the referee has action for the jumpers. The umpire is the non-jumpers. Wrong button. Alex, okay, I'll give it to you.
Yeah, me too. Wrong button.
Blue or red? I know it's tough. All right.
I thought it said non-jumpers. I didn't read it good.
Oh, here we go. See? All right, question 3. How do officials maintain correct coverage? We'll get this one. I'm telling you, we're getting this one. 18 for 18. One more. Where's the last one? It is blue. Push blue. Yes. All right, there we go. All right. MT's taking over clueless. All right. True or false? The referee should sound their whistle prior to the toss. She didn't go over this one, but it was on that page. But we should know this one. Oh. Yep, want to blow your whistle. Crack your whistle before. That's letting everybody, the players know that we're going to start a ball game, and then you're going to go to white, blue, whatever it may be, and step in. Then take your whistle out of your mouth. All right. Robert has a streak with 4 correct.
It's close. Look at that.
It is close. Eli and clueless. Come on, Josh. Jacob and M. Says, yeah. All right, last one. Here we go. This is going to be a time one. You better be quick on it. This is easy. We went over this one. Come on. The podium. It skipped it. Jacob got 3rd. It skipped it. Josh got 2nd. Who was it? Clueless or MT? Who was it? Eli. Good job, Eli. Okay. All right. Good job. All right. Who's 4th and 5th? Robert, MT. All right. So Dwayne and Eli get with me, and I'll figure out how to get you some come on ref whistles before the season gets going. All right.
I was clueless.
Oh, Babby. But if you didn't do good, you weren't going to tell us that, were you? Oh, okay. The top 3 get whistles? Yeah, why not? All right. If you made it, that's fine. If you made it in the top 3 for both games, email me or text me. Let me know if you want a whistle with a mouth guard or without. And they're pretty sweet whistles. My background has a little come on ref on them. There are black mouth guards on it instead of the clear, and then a regular one if you just want a regular one without. Just let me know. I'll get them to you. And yes, you can use them during the season, right, Kenny? They can use it during the season to come on ref.
Can use
thing. Okay, yeah, okay, because the board was saying you couldn't. Yeah, we're gonna use those. All right, so we're done. We got done a little early. Any questions for us before we close? No questions, no nothing. All right, so I'll say a few things. I'll let Kenny and Jesse then finish it out. Hopefully you all got the email, so the email you sent me was good. Maybe tomorrow, Tuesday, I'm gonna get you a link for a Google form quiz, and that you got all week to do them. All right, so it's all gonna be 2-person mechanics because that's what we're focusing on until we get to the last 2 weeks. And I'll give you questions out there, and it'll give you the answer. They're not timed like the Kahoot. Go in there, submit it, and it'll tell you the ones you got right or wrong. Again, it'll give you the rule or whatever it is that you got if you did get it wrong, then go look in the rule book. Just take a look at it. If you want to take it twice, you're more than welcome to, but I'll get that out for you. What I may try to do, which I think will be better, is the videos. If we do go over videos like this one we did this time, and they kind of glitch, I can put them on a YouTube channel and send them to you. So I can do that, and then you can look at them prior so it won't glitch, and that may help. I just don't always like doing that, especially when you make the call, because then you get to see it multiple times. You don't get that in real game. You get one time to look at it and you got to make a decision. But I get it. It is a little blurry and it's hard to see it. So that may have caused you guys to not really see the play the whole way. Also, the Facebook page, get on that if you can. I know a lot of you are on here. Appreciate you guys being on there and engaging. And then the YouTube channel. YouTube channel, SOBOA Training. Just go on there, subscribe. I'll throw this up there tonight. So if you want to go back and look at anything, I'll also email you the PowerPoint presentation for you to go look at as far as that. Again, we're going for 6 weeks. We'd love for you to be on there every single week. Appreciate the engagement. I mean, I tell you, we've done, like I said, close to 100 Zoom meetings, and I really believe the more we hear from officials on here, they just seem to go way better. I'm really happy with the way the first one went. Do you have a question? Are there any extra hard copies of the rule books? Kenny has them. So Kenny's getting them Thursday, right? Kenny, you want to touch on that and let you know how you're going to get those out?
Yeah. So I will have those. They said they're going to ship them tomorrow from Austin. So I should have them on Tuesday. I'm figuring I'm giving them a day or two because they promised me Monday. They promised me Monday 2 weeks ago. So, but he said he's been real busy. So he'll get it to me on no later than Thursday. I will send out a mass email. Couple of us are going to pick spots around the city, and we'll hang out there for a half hour to an hour. You come pick up your book because of COVID. But can I go now about talking about the meeting?
And yeah, just real quick though. So Justin, for asking, and any of y'all, you can get your rule books if you don't have them you go to Arbiter, and if you go to, I believe I'm showing you guys right now. If you go to, is it THSBOE, Kenny, the main page to get them?
I don't know how to get that one. I only go to, I always buy mine from.
I know, me too. I'll get that information for you as well. You can go onto like what I'm having here. You can go into Arbiter and you can get hard copies on there to look in the meantime. So Justin, I'll get that to you, and anybody else that needs help, I can get that to you as well. But yeah, Kenny, go ahead.
Okay, so I just wanted to say, Mark, I mean, that this presentation was spot on. I mean, it flowed. It was well organized, and I mean, we got to give our hats off to you because you lead us in this category, and this was awesome. I don't think I've been part of a training that flowed this perfectly, and I've been part of a lot of trainings. So I just wanted to say, hey, thanks. And it's not really even good training if you guys didn't participate. So we had really, really good participation. So I really appreciate you guys. That's all I have.
Well, thanks, Kenny. I appreciate it. I love what I do. And myself, Kenny, and Jesse, we're very passionate about refereeing. And for all of us, I've only been in 8 years. Kenny and Jesse have been great mentors for me. They've been doing this 20, 30 years. And we've been very successful in our refereeing career. We've been fortunate, to go to state tournaments and do all these type things, which has been great. But what we care about more, and we don't talk about our resumes. We don't do that. We care more about giving back. I want all of you on here to be a better referee than me. Same with Jesse and Kenny. That's all we care about. We want referees to get opportunities like we've had to be on. Everybody wants the big game. Don't get me wrong. You do. And you all deserve the big game if you put in the work. Like, no one can ever say about me, Jesse, and Kenny, we haven't put in the work to get the games that we've got. And they come. The games are there. But it's what you do with, in yourself. You got to invest in yourself. And if you do that, sky's the limit for you guys. And again, there's a lot of referees that are at the end of their career. They're on the end. I'm not. I'm rolling. I'm good. I'm still young. But Jesse and Kenny, they're some on their way out. We got a lot of older referees that are on their way out. And all we care about is the younger referees or the lesser experienced referees to come on and get these games. So that's what we're all about. We're about teaching and helping and educating and giving back.
I appreciate the kind words, Kenny, but that's my AirPods dropped in here. Can you guys still hear me? On here? Yeah, okay, sorry, my AirPods died on me, yeah. So, I thought week went really well. I really do. So I'm excited for week 2. If there's any feedback for us, like if things you like, things you didn't like, we're all about improving. We want week 2 to be better. Week 3, we want to continue to grow and make this, obviously worth your while, and for you to be excited to show up on Sunday and say, yo, what got really good is when we took a couple of weeks off for Zoom and my phone was like, Mark, we don't have Zooms tonight. That's what I want. Like that momentum, like, okay, you look forward to jumping on a Sunday evening. I know you like to watch football as well, but I mean, just so you guys can grow and get better, and then, hopefully implement it into your game when we get back on the floor. So yeah, anything that you have for me or Kenny or Jesse, reach out to us. We're available. And again, we want to improve and help your game. Jesse, you want to close on anything?
I just say, to Kenny's point, thank you, Mark, for putting this on. I must say, during the pandemic, everything happened for a reason. I think, as for me as a basketball official, it gave me an opportunity to kind of reset and kind of slow down and really begin to get into the rule book and do some things that I probably wouldn't have done if the pandemic wasn't here. And just hats off to you guys, for taking time out of your schedule to actually and try to get better. Just looking forward to seeing you next week.
Yep. Thanks, Jess. Appreciate it. All right, guys. Well, look forward to seeing you guys next Sunday. Again, I'll get all those links out. And again, any questions, reach out to us. But look forward to continuing to grow and all of us continue to get better. All right, stay safe out there. We always say stay positive, test negative. I need to make a shirt for that. All right. So,
hey, Mark, this is TC.
Hey, man.
I've been on here the whole time, but I didn't know how to participate with this stuff. So I'm old school, so I didn't know how to do all this stuff. And I stopped doing my computers back in 2008. So maybe next Sunday or somebody can get an email or something, show me how to get into to participate.
Call me. Just call me.
All right.
Or just come by my office, TC.
There you go.
I'll do that there.
Yeah, go.
All right.
Okay.
Better. Kenny.
It was really good, though.
Okay. Thanks for jumping on, my man. All right, guys. Take care. We'll see you soon.